Hello everyone, welcome to a demonstration on the new multi-block coding and block insertion in Trimble Business Center version 3.80. To first create a block, you have two options. Under the Drafting tab, we have Import Blocks, which you can select and then import DWG files or DXF files. As well, you can create a block from CAD elements in Trimble Business Center, as I have done here, and select the Create Block command. I can give this block a name. I will call it manhole, and then I will select the objects. I want all of these. And next we have the insertion points. What we've implemented in Trimble Business Center is the ability to choose 1, 2, or 3 insertion points for your blocks. In this case, I want to select maybe the outside of the rim for one, and another point for the other side. As well, I can choose a third location, and this will scale the block when imported based on these 3 points. And I can specify an elevation. In this case, I will leave it to 0, and then select Create. This window here shows the results of creating the blocks, and it says block manhole was created. Now to insert this block, we can do it manually. So if we zoom out, you can see that I have some data here in our project. If I zoom in, I have 3 points here. So what I can do is select Insert Block. In the Insert Block command, I can select this window and see all the blocks that are in my drawing. I have several here. I'll select the manhole. I can put it on a specific layer, and then I select my location insertion points. So if my manhole 1 point is here, and point 2, as well as the third point for scaling, I can select here. I can also specify the elevation for the object, as well as rotation, scaling for the X, Y, and Z axis. When I'm happy with this, I can press Insert. One thing to note is here is a preview of the block that's selected, as well as the insertion points for that block. I'll press Insert, and then I can move on. I can insert more blocks after that. So now I'll demonstrate how we can utilize these blocks that have been created in Trimble Business Center and create feature codes for these blocks to have them automatically created on processing of feature codes. If I open the Feature Definition Manager, which is located here, this will bring up the FDM or Feature Definition Manager. And here I can select a feature definition library by selecting File, Open. I will navigate to my FXL file, which stands for Feature Code Library, and I'll open it up. Once this file loads, you can see that now in Trimble Business Center version 3.80, we've implemented a block control code as well as a block feature code. There's also the options here. Normally we have the point, line, polygon feature codes, but now we've implemented a block feature code as well as the block control code. I have a few block control codes already created in this drawing, so I'll select this one, and you can see that it rotates the block based on this code. So what I can do is type in RPB when I'm in the field, and then specify a rotation value in the specific angular settings of your project, and when that code is processed, your block will be inserted and rotated based on the RPB value. There's also a 2-point block insertion control code. This lets you insert a block based on 2 points. So what it'll do is if the block has 2 or 3 insertion points and this code is selected, I will measure 2 points in the field, both coded relative to the block code. And then on the first point, I'll also put the TPB. Then this will insert the block based on 2 points. There's also coding for scaling of the blocks. In this case, I've created one that will allow you to change the scale of the X axis. Also, if I select new block control code, you see there's some other options like rotating for the Y and Z, inserting the block for 1 point, 2 point, 2, and 3 points. Now if I look at my code group, you can see that I have 4 block codes here. I can select the arrow code. Here this will bring up the information for the arrow code. I'll enlarge the feature definition manager so we can see this better. Here we have the feature properties like the name, code, category, layer, similar to points, lines, and polygons featured codes. As well, now we have the block information, so the specific block name. So what the FDM does is it reads the blocks from the TBC project and allows you to choose one of those blocks and implement it here. We can give it layers, colors, and then we can specify how that block is going to be inserted. In this case, we have 2 points. We're not changing the rotation or scale values, and we can give point, layer, and label styles as well. Like any other feature code option, we can also give this attributes like we would for a point or a line. And at the bottom, we are given a preview of the block as well as where the insertion points are located. So I can create a new block feature code by selecting this button. I can give it a name. I can call it manhole. Maybe the code will be MH. I can put it on a layer if I would like. And now I can select a block. In this case, I can go to import blocks and I can actually select a DWG file or a DXF file and open. Now if I look here, I now have a manhole block that's been inserted. I can select that and I can give it line style, color, information as well, and I can choose how it'll be inserted. I'll choose 2 points and press OK. You can see this block has 3 insertion points. So I can change this insertion from 2 to 3, or I can specify it by control code. In this case, the block will be inserted on the control code that I attached to the feature. I'm going to leave it as 2 points. As well, I can give it attribute information if I want. If we look at the car block code, we can see that it has some attributes associated with it. We're able to give it number, text, as well as photo attributes. And you see that this block has 2 insertion points. When you're done with your feature definition library, you can select File, Save, and Exit. Next, to select the feature definition library to process your control and feature codes with, you can go to the project settings here in this corner, select feature code processing, as well as select a feature definition file. So in this case, I want to select my newly saved block test code library. And I can open and then press OK. Now if I zoom out, you can see that there is some RTK data in this project. To remove the clutter in the project, I'll select the RTK vector in the View Filter Manager and turn it off, just so I can view the points. You can see that some of these points are coded with different block and line codes. To process the feature codes, there's a button here called Process Feature Codes. As well, in the Survey tab, there's a Process Feature Codes option. You can select this. What this will show is any JXL or job files in your project, as well as any CAD information that you have. You can select which ones you want to process. In this case, I want to process both, and then select Process Sources. Once the feature codes are processed, you'll be prompted to view the feature code processing report. I'll select Yes. What this will do will open up a feature code processing report results, and it'll show what files were processed, as well as any of the unknown feature codes or problematic attributes, and any issues that were found in the processing. As well, it'll give you information on what areas were problematic. In this case, we were missing an attribute for the car. I can save this as a Excel, PDF, or Word file, and I'll exit out. And now we can see the results of the feature code processing. So here, if I select the point, right click, see the properties, you can see it was a feature code of C, and it created this line work here, which is entitled a feature of curb. As well, for the blocks, we can select the car, and it has all the information, the scaling, the rotation, as well as I could enter any feature information for the attributes here, as well as I could select a photo image for the vehicle photo attribute. If I look at the points and how they're feature coded, you can see that the first point was titled car, as well as the second point was feature coded car, and these inserted the block and scaled it and rotated it relative to those points. With this block here, we can see that we have two RR feature coded points and then a third point here. So these 2 points were used for the initial insertion and rotation, and this point was used for scaling, as it was the third point measured in the collection of the observation. If we move down, we can also see that there's a cable that was created here. This is a line feature code. The arrow as well, that was a block code, was inserted here. And then finally, we have a manhole block that was inserted based on what we selected in the feature code library. And you can see it has the feature, as well as it provides the rotation and the scaling from the original values. This concludes a demonstration on the new multi-block feature coding as well as block insertion in Trimble Business Center version 3.8.